Blessed Rising Soul Family. It's exactly 0808 a.m. as I start this message. I trust you're having a great week or a great start to the week. Greetings to you all and welcome to Soul Family Oracle, where I deliver messages from the divine, the depth of our soul, our spirit guides, and our ancestors. And if you're returning as always, thank you so much for all your support. I really appreciate it. So, I think my voice is a bit husky. That's just because I just woke up a while ago. And I was pulled to do this reading. And I haven't really picked up on what exactly the whole message is, but I've picked up on what the download is about. And three main things that came through was the royal priesthood, thought, and kingmakers. The royal priesthood, thought, and kingmakers. Guys, pardon the noise from the background. I think the neighbor is doing something at their house, some kind of construction work. So, what was coming through was that there's a group of people, right, that have belonged to the order of the royal priesthood of ancient Egypt. And these people in this time, in this period that we're in right now, are needing to sort of like be reminded of who they are and to be reminded of their roles. So what was coming through was like some of these people, it looks like they've been reminded of who they are. So for whoever this message is, you may have been catching glimpses of you in ancient Egypt, and I'm seeing like robes. Like you may have seen yourself wearing like a robe amongst other people wearing a robe. You may have seen yourself in like some kind of like a tomb or what looked like some kind of like a pyramid doing some sort of like ancient rites or something of the sort. You may have dreamt of being amongst royalty or sitting at some kind of like a deba or something of the sort. Now, the royal priesthood were not exactly people that were priests for the royal family or priests for royalties. No, a lot of the royal priesthood were actually royals. These were people that were royals, but were not in line to become whether kings or queens or pharaohs, or had given up that title or that part of themselves to fulfill their roles in the priesthood. So when you look at the royal priesthood, the royal is one thing and then the priesthood is one thing, but then these people I'm speaking of, this comes together to make those people them. And this is where the kingmakers come in. There was a point in ancient Egypt where the royal priesthood became the kingmakers, and this order has lived on till now. If you look at a lot of African countries where there are kings, they have kingmakers. Here in Ghana, they call them the Asafo. And the Asafo are also of royal descent, but they play a role specifically in guiding the royals that will be king, guiding the king, teaching the king, healing the king, giving them esoteric knowledge, showing them ritual rites. So the royal priesthood was in charge of basically making the kings, were in charge of kingship, of making kings, and basically like, even I'm hearing like appointment. But this appointment wasn't by them, like their own will, like I'm choosing this person. No. As part of the priesthood, they served as the bridge between the spirit and the physical realm for the royal families. So the royal priesthood or the royal priest would be the ones that would be giving the visions, of who would be king, who would be savior, who would be a destroyer, and basically be giving also the directives of what needs to be done. So basically the royal priesthood, they served as the oracles for the royal family. But again, it wasn't because they were just oracles for the royal family. Some of these were people that had given up their royalties. 444 on the timer. Giving up royal roles in order to be able to fulfill the role of the priesthood. And this wasn't exactly, it wasn't even like you could be initiated just like that. It's like, oh, I want to become a royal priest. So no, it was very much by, that's why I started with saying like the order. It was very much connected to the making of the nation. It's like it was almost like the royal priesthood had the responsibility of making sure kinship, ruling, everything was moving smoothly in terms of what they needed to know, what they needed to be taught, what they needed to do on the spiritual side with the ancestry in order to fulfill their purposes, or in order to become whether the kings or the pharaohs that they needed to be. So, wow, I really hope this noise from the other side is going to stop soon and it's not going to be throughout the reading. So I'm going to be using the Egyptian Gods Oracle deck, and I'll be clarifying with the Nefertari deck. 555 on the timer. I'm going to have to pause this for a while, guys. The noise is too much. Alright. So let's get into the messages. I'm back. What do we need to know about this reading, Spirit? Come through our nation's ancestors. Thank you. Yeah. We have Mehen with protection. Protection. What else, Spirit? We have Ma'at with truth and fairness. And we have Mut with being ordinary. So, protection, truth and fairness, being ordinary. For whoever I'm speaking to, there's something about this energy that somehow is like, so with the royal priesthood, they also were part of the protection of the royals. They were part of the protection of the royalty. So the royal priesthood, or the priests of the royal priesthood, would basically do 0707 on the timer. They would basically do certain ritual rite and protective rite to protect the kings, to protect the throne, to protect the nation, right? And with this truth and fairness, I feel like there's a deeper message. Oh my goodness, the sound. With the truth and fairness, I feel like there's a deeper message behind this. Because with the Ma'at and the being ordinary, I know there was a point where with this truth and fairness, it's like the divine was trying to communicate something about how this whole royal priesthood and the Kingmakers, how this energy unfolded back then that is needing to unfold in this time. Or maybe needing to be fixed or needing to be corrected. Thank you, Spirit. Needing to be corrected. Because there was a point where truth and fairness wasn't exercised. And as part of the royal priesthood, like the royal priests are bounded by truth and fairness. They are bounded by truth and fairness. So with this truth and fairness coming out as something that needs to be looked at, I feel like this is where a lot of the issues, where the correction that we need to do now, or the corrections that are being done or need to be done now, will come from. With it being ordinary, that's another thing. Like I was saying, the royal priesthood wasn't because they were priests for the royal family. These were actual royalties also in some sense. But some of these people, like I was saying, chose to be ordinary, chose to live the ordinary life in order to be able to carry out the life of the priesthood. Because the life of the priesthood is very different from the life of the king, right? And that's why I was saying, like the Kingmakers, they make the king. Right? Even though the king rules with such power and such might and such authority, the Kingmakers were the ones that would make the king. They were the ones that were giving the vision and the guidance and directions of how to find the next king, or who would be the next true king, or what would save a nation based on what was going on. So with this protection, I think it's time to start to clarify. I want to see what this protection is about also. Because another thing, what I'm getting is there was a point where instead of protecting the crown, instead of protecting the throne, the nation, its people, the royal priesthood became selfish in their ways. The royal priesthood became almost like they lost integrity. We're operating from a place of not being integral. I hope I'm choosing the right word. And I feel like this is where the truth and fairness comes in. So let's start with that. What do we need to know about the protection, Spirit? Make a single card, please. What do we need to know about protection, Spirit? Thank you. Okay. We have the Page of Pentacles and the King of Swords. Wow. So yeah, with this protection, there was a need, or there was something about the protection of the future generation, as in like the next king or the next pharaoh, the next queen. And these were actually like done from like a younger age. It's almost like the royal priesthood, they would get the revelation of who was going to be the king or the next ruler even before the time. It's almost like it would be like just like a prophecy, right? And I remember one of these prophecies where I don't have the actual name, so I don't want to butcher it, so I won't even like really go deep, where a royal priest lied about the prophecy in order to what? Make his family line, or add his family to the line of kings. You understand? Instead of kingmakers. So I feel like this is where the truth and fairness comes in. Okay? So it was like with the protection, especially with the King of Swords, there was something about not being truthful. And I guess that's where the truth and fairness comes in. So it's going to lead up to that. Let me look into that. But if it feels like, I don't know, it's almost like I'm not seeing very well into the energy. We have the Four of Wands and the Eight of Wands under the deck. So exactly with the Four of Wands, it's like a lot of people from the royal priesthood were trying to make, well, not a lot of people, some people from the royal priesthood try to make their families the line of, become the part of the line of kings. Okay, and I feel like this actually was done in many different forms, in different places, because I remember there was one prominent reading about ancient Egypt where it spoke of the contamination of the bloodlines. It spoke about something of the bloodlines, like being mixed up in the wrong ways or something of the sort. So with this Four of Wands, it's almost like it's speaking also, the royal family the royal priesthood was in charge also of protection, right? So it's like with this Four of Wands, it got to the point where part of that protection became them trying to protect their own interest. So this is giving me the energy of greed also, because with the Four of Wands, it's almost as if like they were wanting to have what the kings have, but still be priests or something of the sort. What's this about, Spirit? I feel like there's something behind this that I'm needing to see, but I can't see. And I really hope like I deliver this message as it's supposed to be delivered, because I feel like it's a very important message. We have the King of Pentacles. Yes. Because they wanted to be in a position of power also. They wanted to be in a position of power also. So it looks like what I'm getting is like accumulation. So like some of the priests started to hoard wealth, started to do things to accumulate wealth. So I guess this is where the truth and fairness comes in. They were putting aside the truth and fairness so they could accumulate wealth. They started to want to enrich themselves, enrich their families, right? Instead of following the line of priesthood. The line of priesthood, again, we have modes with being ordinary. They chose to go sideways instead of living the ordinary life of the royal priesthood. And not ordinary life like their life was ordinary or basic. I mean ordinary as in like what they were meant to do or what role they were meant to be playing. But instead wanted to come into this position of accumulating wealth and becoming like wealthy, like, like the kings and the pharaohs themselves. So I feel like this is where that whole misdirection to try and make their families also join the line of priesthood. So I'm still trying to get with the angle of this message and where it's going to, but I think I'm beginning to feel it now. I'm beginning to get a sense of where this is going to. And I feel like for whoever I'm speaking to, for whoever this message is for, this message is coming through to say that you belong to a royal priesthood, But not only do you belong to a royal priesthood, you are royalty, like literally kingship, right? But with this contamination period, it's almost as if there's been a long line, or there was a long line of people that were in positions that they weren't supposed to be in, because these corrupt priests had enabled those things. And so some of those people were their own family. Most of them were their own family and people that were in their court. And so I feel like with this protection, there's a need for somebody like, oh, thank you, Spirit. This message is coming together. I've just cut the deck on the chariot. So now I'm really understanding what the protection is about with the Mehen. It's like the royal priesthood is needing to be protected. So for whoever I'm speaking to, you are somebody that is of the order of the royal priesthood, but not just that, you are royalty also. So it's like there's this need for the royal priesthood to be protected, in the sense that just like how some people gave up their thrones in order to follow the priesthood, in order to do the spiritual work, I feel like this is what some people are being called to. So you may have already gotten the signs and the messages that you are royalty, and then you were royalty in ancient Egypt, or like maybe you were a pharaoh and all those things. Some of you, they're recently digging you up. They're about to dig you up. Some of you are still under some of the pyramids. Wow, and I just heard by spirits, by energetic body. So it's like a spirit that has been left behind as an ancestor is still doing some work in the pyramids. Like this pyramid energy, I'm not even about to go there. Right? So I feel like this is saying like there's a period that is coming in your life, or some kind of realization that's coming that is going to make you choose. Where it's like, for somebody, it's going to be you putting the idea of kinship or queenship to the side. Sorry about the noise, guys. Yeah. So for some of you, this will be putting the notion of kinship, queenship, or rulership to the side, and stepping into the role of priesthood, 1717 on the timer, because you are also a high priestess aside of a king and a queen. You understand? And I feel like we're needing more of the royal priesthood to rise. Like the royal priesthood is needing to be revived. And I feel like what I'm getting is like so many people want to be in that energy of, oh, I was a queen, oh, I'm royalty, oh, I'm this, oh, I'm that. But not realizing that the spiritual aspect that comes with them also plays a very important role in the extension of that whole bloodline, or in the extension of that royal family of where they come from. So, and what I'm getting is like, this is because there are so many, I guess, quote unquote, kings and queens, but not enough kingmakers. And the kingmaker role was so important because depending on what kind of kingmaker a nation had would really depend the course of their I guess life, or like basically would really depend how the 1818 on the timer would really depend their outcome, because the kingmaker is somebody that was very close to the king. So the kingmakers were very close to the king, and they were very trusted because they served as the oracle. You understand? For the king, for the royal family, they were the ones that would do, again, the rituals that the spirits or the ancestors would guide them to do for the kings and queens. Okay, but I feel like with this energy, we just pulled. Wow, this noise is really trying to distract me. I just pulled Ace of Wands and the Eight of Pentacles. 8 is very significant. So I feel like with this Ace of Wands, it's almost like there was a rise of royal priests and high priestesses trying to accumulate wealth through the practice. And I feel like this is what is needing to be corrected now. So it's like, again, like I was saying, too many queens and kings and not enough kingmakers. The kingmakers, because the kingmakers, they teach the kings values. They teach them about the spiritual order. They help them to become more enlightened. They help them to become more awakened to their internal power and to their spiritual nature. And usually also there was a period where before it was usually the queenmakers were women. In the past, usually the kingmakers were women. until some point it became actively both men and women, depending on if you were a high priest or a high priestess of the royal family of the royal court. I don't know exactly how that part was determined, and I feel like that's not what we're trying to read into right now. So with the Eight of Pentacles and the Ace of Wands, it's like the high priests or high priestesses and high priestesses, instead of protecting the throne, protecting the kings and queens, protecting the royal families, enlightening them and all those things, started to create lies or illusions in order to accumulate wealth, enrich themselves, and for some also to come into power. So it's like some of the royal priests started to want to come into power. With the being ordinary, they didn't want to be ordinary anymore. Some started to feel like, well, we are even more powerful than the kings and queens. It's like, it's just because they sit on a throne. We are even more powerful. Okay. I'm realizing I need a snack when I'm doing early morning reading, so I'm having a chocolate wafer. I love chocolate wafers. So so I feel like I'm really getting where this message is going. Yeah, I'm having to pause this every now and then because of the noise. So it's like because of these lies and illusions, it's like a lot of people were put in a position that they weren't supposed to be in. The positions that weren't theirs to fill. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why this message is coming up. So whoever I'm speaking to, again, you are royalty, but also a high priest or high priestess. You are royalty, but also a kingmaker. You understand? You are royalty, but also a kingmaker. You are like somebody that is meant to guide, direct kings and queens. You're somebody that is meant to help heal kings and queens so they can heal their nations and their people. This is giving me the energy of like Aladdin and Zafar. We just got a whole bunch of storybooks this week, so I've been indulging in Disney stories. And Zafar and Aladdin. Zafar was the trusted priest of the king or of the emperor, which was Jasmine's father, the ruler then. And he wanted to get the magic lamp so he could become the most powerful person. So even though the emperor was trusting him and he was advising the emperor, he kept giving the emperor the wrong advice. He kept making up illusions and telling lies to the emperor about what spirits were saying and about what the oracles were saying, and basically was leading the emperor astray because he was just trying to become the most powerful man. Right? And so this is like some of those things. So I feel like whoever I'm speaking to, 23 on the timer, that's 5-5. This is more like a call for you to stand up in a certain energy. And I feel like some of you might be around people of power. Some of you might be around people of power where it's like these people are people that are in positions, high positions, and they're supposed to be taking responsibility of certain things, taking care of certain people, protecting certain things, honoring certain things, but they don't do it. So it's like these are people that are abusing their power. And this is one of the things that the Kingmakers stopped. Like this is one of the reasons why the Kingmakers were so important. The Kingmakers, especially the women in ancient Egypt, they would guide the young pharaohs and teach them until they came of a certain age. And so it's like there was a very important significance to the role that the Kingmakers played in with the kings. It wasn't just about, again, that's what I'm saying, it wasn't just about serving as the eyes of spirit or eyes of the ancestors and all those things. They were meant to help them lead in the right ways. They were meant to help them lead in dignity and truth. So wow, under the deck we have the Queen of Cups. Under the deck, we have the King of Cups. And then the Fatality Tarot, the King of Cups is like literally like a woman with the head thing. And he has a child sitting on him. And it's like the child is pointing the way. So this is exactly the energy I was speaking of. It's like the Kingmakers would usually, in the past, they would usually be women. And these women would be the one. So, and it's not like, again, these weren't like just women that were just appointed, like, oh, I want to become a high priestess or a kingmaker. No. It came also from the royal family. This is what I'm saying. It's like, even though some people gave up their royal status and titles to become high priests and high priestesses fully, and I'm hearing the goddess Isis, priestess Osset, she is one of those people. She had every chance to rise into royalty, to rise into power, and to become, like a queen or like a pharaoh and all those things. But she was more of a high priestess. She was a healer, a diviner. And I feel like this is what is needing to be reestablished in this time. There are people in positions of power that they are not supposed to be in because some people put them there. And some of those people who put them there, this is not something they're just learning in this lifetime. This is something they've always done. In multiple lifetimes they've done. It's become part of their karmic cycle because it was like a very pivotal point where they tilted the course of their destiny. Whereas they were going in one direction and they were supposed to be the kingmakers and then doing the needful to help bring light and awareness and enlightenment to the kings and to guide them and to lead them in the right path. When they started to change the intention of their purpose or the intention of the roles that they filled, that was them kind of like forging a new destiny, like taking a new course. So I feel like in this time right now, there's a lot of royal priests that are being called to rise because there are people all over the world that are going to be needing you. There are young ones that are coming up, and I keep hearing policymakers. So for instance, some of you, it won't even be in a setting that you would think you're making any impact, right? But a young child that you might cater to today will grow up to become a policymaker tomorrow. And they're going to make policies based on what? The right energy. They're going to be thoughtful people, mindfulness, because of the knowledge that you imparted into them, because of the knowledge that you gave them. For some of you, the kings that you're needing to make are your own children. Some of you, you're going to be bearers of golden children. I think let me put this down, 2738. Because there's a message that said you are destined to mother a golden child. So for some of you, your king that you're going to be making or guiding is going to be your own children. For some of you, it's going to be literally in the setting where you are around, like where you have you are with a lot of children, or you get to be with a lot of children, whether you teach them or however it is that you get to be around them. And I feel like in this energy, you're going to be able to like impart in them the right knowledge to help them move forward in light. So I feel like this is coming from a space where it's like we're moving into those times again where in like ancient Egypt, there's going to be the kind of kinship and leadership or rulership that is going to literally make nations and break others. And we need the kingmakers, the royal priests, to be available in whatever capacity, whether it's you realizing your royal lineage and going back home to serve as the kingmaker or to serve as a priest or priestesses in your royal family, or whether this is you being in a certain setting where you identify certain children of light and then you are led to guide and help them, to teach them. This could be in any way. Okay. All right. Let's see what else. What else, Spirit? Yeah. We have Set with resentment. Exactly. The energy, just like the energy of Set is like, why is Osiris in the position of power? Why does he get to have this? Why does he get to be that? This is that energy that was coming through. So another thing I'm hearing is like for a lot of the royal priests or high priestesses, they were influenced by dark energy. They were influenced by the wrong energies. And this Set coming up is giving me that vibe. Because with this card of Set also, it's like an archer right? But behind the archer is Set, and he's like directing his arrow. So it's like you can see this person is about to take a shot, but behind him is Set's influence. So again, like I'm saying, we're moving into a time right now where, again, the darkness is going to be fighting to try to overcome the light or to overshadow the light. And they're going to be using the leaders. They're going to be using the role models. They're going to be using the ones that are supposed to be leading. And they are going to be what? Corrupting them for them to neglect their responsibilities and do what they are not supposed to do, rather. So I feel like this is one reason why this is, thank you, Spirit. This message is really is becoming very clear to me now. So it's like, this is similar to the message I did yesterday for the Light Warriors Oracle. And if you are not following the Light Warriors Oracle, please follow. That is where I post messages that are specifically guided for light warriors or people that consider themselves as light warriors. And I've seen a few people try to report it saying that somebody is stealing my content. But no, that's me myself. The Light Warriors Oracle channel is also our channel. It's also the channel of what? Soul Family Oracle. So there's a message I posted there yesterday about, and I'll be reposting it on Soul Family Oracle, because sometimes I like for people to, when I feel like a message is not just for light warriors, I post it also on Soul Family Oracle. So the message was saying about how, whoever it was for, this person was meant to be a guide and protector of young star seeds. That's the energy that I'm channeling again very heavily in this. So it's like the young ones that are coming up, there's going to be a lot of energies trying to misguide them from a young age so that they are what? Already polluted by the time they come into position of power. Because another thing is, some of these young people are not going to know who they are. And there's going to be a rise of kings and queens out of nowhere. Because people are going to be reconnected with their royal lineages, and some of you have thrones that are waiting for you. So basically, when the time comes, you are going to be sworn in as king and queens. So for these people, it's like, it's so important for the high priest and high priestesses to be already taking responsibility and guiding these people, protecting them, shielding them from the wrong energies by helping them to learn, giving them the right materials. And this was the role of the royal priesthood and the kingmakers. This is the role of the kingmakers. Like, I personally come from a royal family, but also a family of kingmakers. So we have royals in my family, like kings and queens, and then we have kingmakers as an Asafo. Part of my family is Asafo. We make kings. When a king is elected, it comes through us. And also we teach kings. We teach the royal family. We help to enlighten them. We help to take them into deep esoteric, even ritual work and stuff like that. But again, like I was saying, there is a thin line between rulership and reign. Okay. So it's like with this kingmaker and high priest energy, it's more about teaching, guiding. This is where the being ordinary comes in. It's a role that is rid of or void of like ego. And so for a lot of people, I feel like that's one of the main things that we're going to need to be helping to others to work through, because we ourselves also, this is one of the main things that we have to heal of ourselves in order to come into the position that we are in as priests and priestesses. Well, this is a very important message. I keep getting that notion. What else, Spirit? Wow, we have with exploration. Exactly, exploration. It's like, for whoever this message is for, you're being called to explore, if not your royal lineage, your role as priest or priestess. You're being called to explore your role as priest or priestess. And I feel like this is where thought comes in. Because on this card also we have the ibis. And I think the ibis, that's the is it the totem or the animal representation of thought? Okay. Or Tehuti, because thought would be like the time of Atlantis. That was what he was known. So I guess Tehuti. And yeah, what else do we need to know, Spirit? So I feel like, again, with this exploration, there's something about ancient knowledge. There's something that you're needing to find out. So I feel like somebody is being guided into esoteric knowledge. You're needing to read or learn more about esoteric wisdom, because there are things in it that will basically make sense to you, or you're needing to find out or explore about yourself. And whoever I'm speaking to, this is not the first time you're having to do this. Like, this is not something that is like, it's going to be new to you. So it's just going to be remembrance. So it's like some of the things that you see are going to be helping you to remember that side of you. And also because some of these things that you're needing to learn is going to help you to teach the kings and queens that you're going to be guiding. All right. What else, spirits? So it's like, this is saying the period of kingship, right? Okay, hold on. I'm hearing the wrong kings. So it's almost like there's about to be a wave of, like, I'm hearing uprootment. A lot of people are going to be uprooted. There's going to be a wave, and I don't know, I don't want to put a timeline to it, but there's going to be a wave of, like, people being uprooted from their positions, from their thrones. And this is going back all the way to the cycle of, like, basically ancient Egypt, where some of these people in that particular incarnation were part of people that were put in positions of power by what? Corrupt priests and corrupt priestesses. Some were made kings and queens instead of the actual royals that were supposed to be made kings and queens, while some of the actual royal family members were exiled, were executed, were lied on, or were stripped of what? Of their power and their titles. So I feel like in this time, part of this wave of people being uprooted is like this cycle coming back around where the wrong people in power are going to be removed, so to make space for the right people to fill that position. And this is going to be very, very much dependent on the work that we put in, like on the work we put in these people that are going to become the kings and queens and the leaders, the president and the policymakers. This is why we are needing to explore. So whoever I'm speaking to, from this period going on, it's like this energy, I feel like is already within you. This is not about an activation or anything. You're just needing to learn more about it because you are going to be guiding people. So this is basically to say that prepare yourself because the royal priesthood is being what? Reborn. Oh, look at that. I'm telling you guys, we have Amon-Ra under the deck with creation. Yeah, we had Amon-Ra under the deck with creation. Wow. And now we have Tauret with Genesis. I'm telling you guys, the royal priesthood is being reborn. Right, the royal priesthood is being reborn and is being reclaimed from the energies of corrupt priests and corrupt high priestesses and stuff like that. So even in today's world, when you look at certain pastors and preachers, and they are corrupt and they are evil men and stuff like that, that is another example. That is a clear example of that. Preachers and pastors and stuff like that who are greedy, money hungry, all they think about is themselves and not their congregation. When they're supposed to be teachers, they're trying to be worshipped. This all, I feel like that's what it was saying, like this is all is coming back around. This energy, it has been repeated in so many different ways. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why it's also saying like a lot of people are going to be finding out about your true royal lineages, because a lot of these things about how your royal identity was concealed and all those things, there are karmic traits all over it from past lives. Where it's like some of the different energies that were working against that, or were working against that for you, have come up in this lifetime or in different lifetimes as different people. So take it how it resonates. Right? But I feel like for whoever this message is for, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. All right, what else, Spirit? Yeah, so I think we found the title of this message, or part of the title, which is that the royal priesthood is being reborn. Or the royal priesthood has been reborn or is needing to be reborn. But this is basically speaking of the royal priesthood actually coming back in order, coming back in form. Not all these fake priests and fake priestesses who know a few things and then they're like, nah, but their heart is dark. That's not it. All right, what else, spirits? Yeah, we have Kunum with resourcefulness. Num, but like it's a K, but it's like actually like Num. It's a silent K with resourcefulness. Resourcefulness. I feel like again with the exploration, this resourcefulness, this is you. You're going to be a source, like a resource for the young kings and queens that are coming, for the leaders that are going to be taking position. And for some of you, this is already happening right now as we speak. You are some kind of like an advisor or consultant for people of power, or like people in politics, or like kings and queens. There's something about somebody already doing something that is like you being in a position of like guiding and teaching people in power. So with this resourcefulness, it's almost like you're just going to, part of your responsibility is to make yourself as resourceful as possible. And how do you do this? Again, like I was saying, there's a need for you to explore more about who you are, about the royal priesthood, not specifically the royal priesthood, but about your role as a high priest or high priestess, right? And I feel like for somebody, there's a need for you to research like ancient Egyptian like order of like the king-making order, how kings were made. Something about the rulership. It's going to help you understand certain things better. What else, spirits? Yeah, we have Anubis with transformation. And we have Selkis with healing. You are supposed to serve as part of the transformation. So it's like, this is giving me a new beginning, as in like new earth. There's a transformation that is happening here on this planet, on our earth, and you know what I mean. And I feel like this transformation with the healing under the deck, this is all part of it. You are going to aid in the healing that brings about the transformation. Again, like I was saying with the children. From yesterday's message, it was saying about how some of you can identify stars. You can identify talented children and special children, gifted children. So it's like with this transformation and the healing, you are going to be in the position to guide these children, help them realize their true selves, help them realize the power within them. Because some of these children are meant to be in a position of power, and they will be in a position of power. However, the kind of mindset or energy they're in when you're in the position of power is very important. So it's almost like being groomed to become king or queen, but depending on who is grooming you would depend on what kind of king or queen you become. So this is where you come in. It's like you are going to be grooming them with this light, with this pure light, where they are not corrupted. So I feel like this is also going to be, there's going to be a bit of a battle with corrupt priests and priestesses. There's going to be a bit of a battle with corrupt priests and priestesses, because some people are going to try and be in the way of you teaching, whether the children or the youth, what is true. It's almost like people will still want the children or the young ones to live under the illusion, so that when they grow up, they are misdirected and polluted already. So again, that's what I said. This is a very important message, because it's like this is literally a call out to the true royal high priest and high priestesses to really start to equip yourself and to start to, I feel like another thing is, you don't have to wait for something big to happen. Even if it's just one child next to you, or even if it's just one person you know that is like really talented with a clean heart, and they are in a position of power, or they are being put in a position of power, but there are wrong energies around them that are trying to, corrupt them. You can take the initiative to start from there. It doesn't have to be a group of people. It can be just one child. You understand? But that's what I'm saying is like, another thing is you will be directed to people that have big futures, people that are meant to be important people in this life, people that are meant to be part of the foundations of the new earth. So it's like your role is very important. 4404 on the timer. Wow. And we have Apophis under the deck with darkness, because again, that's another thing. There's a darkness that's brewing beneath all this. There's a darkness that is brewing beneath all this, and this darkness counts on the corrupt leadership to thrive and to grow on our earth, right? And so it's like all this, everything is connected. All this is so that we can what? Battle this darkness also. So it's almost like we're needing to guide these people, needing to be prepared. because the teachings and the guidance that they'll be giving is going to be needed so that they don't fall for the darkness. Wow. Yeah, I get it now, Spirit. Thank you. I'm telling you, we have Hape with renewal. We have Hape with renewal. There's renewal that is needing to happen for new earth to come into. It's like we're in the process of like getting ready for the renewal. And so like the teachers, the shamans, the healers, the ascended masters, all needing to rise and to get ready, to get prepared for this renewal, renewing who we are in our source energy. Because the time really it's closer than we think. It's closer than we think, and of course, certain cycles need to close out first, certain things need to happen first, but it's closer than we think, and we're needing to prepare. Again, we have Tauret with Genesis under the deck. It's like going back, new earth, we're starting afresh. And so we're needing to prepare, we're needing to be ready for this new start. And part of this new start, again, is the youth, the children, the kings and queens of the future. Not necessarily the ones of now, because we're needing to guide and to teach them what they need to know in order to be in the right energies when they come into the position of power that they are meant to be in. All right, Spirit. Thank you, Spirit. And this is where I feel like this is where I'm going to be leaving this message. But I want to take one last card. Yeah, I'm going to take one last card. And I really hope the noise is not too much. I'm going to try and raise up the volume when I edit in Canva. So hopefully my voice overshadows the noise. All right, let's take one last card. Oh, we got two cards. Look, we have Meteja with righteousness. Oh my goodness, guys. We have Meteja with righteousness, and she's literally a snake. It's a snake with a human head. So see, you remember we've been getting this energy a lot. We've been getting the energy of the snake a lot. And this one on top of the body is different colors. Remember, we've been speaking about the rainbow snake a lot, the rainbow serpent a lot. So with this righteousness, and we have Ptah with skill. Ptah with skill. So with a Ptah with skill and this righteousness, it's almost like we're going to be needing to build the skill. Again, like I was saying, we're needing to prepare. But the skills and stuff that we're needing to build, it has to be from a space of righteousness, from a space of light. Because another thing with the royal priesthood and the corrupt priest and high priestesses is they attach themselves, or some of them attach themselves with low vibrational entities and low vibrational gods, so they would have a certain level of power. Like I was saying about Zafar from the story of Aladdin. He could turn himself into anything. He could turn himself into an animal. He could turn himself into another person. And that's how he was able to trap Aladdin, by turning himself into like an old man and acting like he was helping him when he was actually leading him to go and steal something for him, so he would become the most powerful. So I feel like with this righteousness and skill, it's like saying that whatever it is that we practice, and for whoever this message is for, and whatever it is that you practice, whatever skill you learn and decide to teach also and impact, do it from a space of light, from a space of righteousness. So it's like, don't settle, with low vibrational entities or low vibrational gods to try and gain some kind of power or to learn some kind of skill. No. And also with this righteousness, it's like we're needing to really operate from a place of a clean heart. Because the people that we're going to be handling, again, these are people that we're going to be guiding, because they're going to be guiding multitudes of people also. And we need to be able to impact the right energy into these people. 4844 on the timer. So 8 and 4s are significant for this message, it looks like. But I'm getting the 8 as like on the side, like an infinity sign. It's like something is coming back around, and I feel like the true royals of the high priest, of the royal priesthood, are the ones that are coming back around. And this is going to be happening in so many ways. It's like there's some people in positions of power that you don't know. In ancient Egypt, they were literally living an ordinary life where they were just serving the throne or serving the crown. And not in a way where it's like they're slaves or no. They were in servitude, as in like part of their purpose, right, was to be of service to the throne, but not necessarily the throne or the person. Because again, when the throne is being led in light, in the right way, or by the right person, that is when the nation thrives in the right energy. All right. So I feel like this is where I'm going to leave this message. We have Hathor under the deck with intelligence. Exactly. There's a need to acquire knowledge, become well abreast with these things, and you're going to be guided on what to learn. Once you start to open and become receptive to the energy, like your spirit guides are going to guide you, your Egyptian ancestors are going to lead you to what you need to know. All right. So as always, guys, please listen with discernment. Take only what resonates and leave what doesn't. And if the message resonates with you, please like, share, subscribe to help us reach even more of our soul tribe. Have a blessed day, guys.